Wannsee Conference on January 20, 1942, 15 senior German officials met over breakfast at a lakeside villa in Berlin. They drank coffee, ate sandwiches, and discussed railroad timetables. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. No shouting. No violence. No dramatic confrontations. By the time the coffee cups were cleared, 11 million people had been sentenced to death. The lesser-known fact is this. The word kill never appears in the official minutes. Instead, the document uses phrases like evacuation to the east and special treatment. The men at the table understood exactly what those phrases meant. They were bureaucrats. Euphemism was their native language. The meeting was called by Reinhard Heydrich, head of the Reich Security Main Office. He did not invent the Holocaust. That decision had already been made by Hitler, sometime in late 1941. Heydrich's job was simpler. He needed to make sure the German civil service did not get in the way. 15 men received invitations. They came from the SS, the Nazi Party, and the civilian ministries. The Foreign Office sent an undersecretary. The Justice Ministry sent a lawyer. The Interior Ministry sent a state secretary. Each man was chosen for a specific reason. Heydrich wanted department heads who could approve policy without asking permission from their superiors. The logistics were handled by Adolf Eichmann, a mid-level SS officer who had spent the previous 3 years organizing Jewish deportations. Eichmann later said the meeting was routine. He meant it as a compliment. For the men at Wannsee, genocide was an administrative problem. The overlooked condition is fatigue. Germany had been at war for 2.5 years. The initial euphoria was gone. The invasion of the Soviet Union had stalled outside Moscow. By January 1942, the German army controlled territory containing roughly 10 million Jews. Not all were under direct German administration. Some were in allied countries like Hungary and Romania. Some were in occupied zones where local authorities still had a say. Heydrich needed legal cover. He could not simply issue orders. The civil service would demand written authorization. The Wannsee Conference was that authorization. The most remarkable part of the Wannsee Protocol is page 4. It lists every Jewish population in Europe, country by country. Including countries Germany had not yet conquered. Including Britain, Switzerland, Sweden, and Turkey. The assumption was clear. The war would continue. Germany would win. And when it did, the remaining Jews would be evacuated. Heydrich estimated the total at 11 million. The actual number was closer to 9 million. But precision was not the point. The point was to make the problem feel manageable. 11 million is a statistic. 1 million is a tragedy. The men at the table were trained to see the former. Eichmann had already tested the deportation system in Poland and the occupied Soviet territories. Polish Jews had been rounded up, loaded onto trains, and sent to ghettos or shooting pits. The system worked. But it was inefficient. Shooting consumed ammunition. It traumatized the executioners. And it left bodies that had to be disposed of. The Wannsee Conference was not about whether to kill. It was about how to kill at industrial scale. One man at the table spoke more than the others. Dr. Joseph Buhler, representing Hans Frank, the governor of occupied Poland. Buhler asked Heydrich to begin the final solution immediately in Poland. His reason was not ideological. It was practical. The ghettos were overcrowded. Disease was spreading. And the local population needed housing. Buhler did not ask for mercy. He asked for speed. That was the bureaucratic mind at work. The Wannsee Conference is terrifying not because of the men who attended. They were ordinary civil servants. It is terrifying because of how normal they were. They used calendars, filing cabinets, and railway schedules. The Holocaust was not the product of screaming madmen. It was the product of sober men in suits who cared about efficiency. The lesson for any large organization is uncomfortable. Systems designed to solve logistical problems can be turned to monstrous ends without a single evil personality at the top. Heydrich was evil. But the 15 men at Wannsee were not all monsters. Some were mediocre. Some were ambitious. Some were just tired and wanted to finish the meeting. The Wannsee Conference lasted 90 minutes. It took longer to clean the coffee cups than to decide the fate of 11 million people. The men who attended went back to their lives. Most never faced justice. Some returned to government service after the war. One became a West German judge. The quietest meetings often produce the loudest consequences. That is not a comforting thought. But it is an honest one.